But yeah, and I think, so you did a great job and you turned it around. Look, you ended up being one of the best players of the club for a long time, Jeremy, in terms of nine.
Wow.
You went on to play for J1s for an awful lot of time, and look at you now.
Unfortunately, my brother
you're the
was
media icon of the club.
my media, the podfather. 2017. We flash forward to 5 more years. 2017, you won the J4 league again, but that season was very different. I remember you started off, we couldn't feel the team, and conceded a match away to see.
Is this 2017? Really?
I think,
is this Macca's year?
2016, 2017. No, that's not Macca's year. This is what happens when you talk to a junior legend. This is when you talk to a junior legend that isn't sure which trophy you're referring to.
I only know with the individual players. There's Macca's year. I know the team you're talking about. Unfortunately, we got McGann back out.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So you actually conceded the first game because you couldn't field.
That's right.
And
that was my fault, actually.
But then you sent out. I got the text as well. You sent out an SOS text, and it was like, I remember it well. It was like, if you care about your club, if you care about Greystones, you'll come down and play. We need to field the team this year. This is an iconic team, and you really put your neck on the line. I mean, like, you had every reason to walk away really at that stage. You can't
walk away from the club, mate. Jesus, the club's the
club.
But you know what
I mean? I mean, you could have. You'd done everything you could have been ever asked and more. You'd gone over and above the Call of Duty already at that stage, but you still put your neck out, and you managed to assemble a pretty good team again and win that league that season. Do you remember much about it?
I do, yeah. No, I remember that. I was kind of worried. I remember we lost. Did we lose? The game got abandoned. I think it was out in Sea Point. And I remember I originally wasn't supposed to play because I was injured. And then Podge was giving out shit. Sorry, excuse the French again. Podge was looking over at me, giving out. Actually, didn't have gear with me or anything, right? And I would have played because then we lost. We would have won the match quite probably with 12 players, knowing that team, right? But then you started going through the numbers and you realise, God, we might have a team for the season. And you absolutely started panicking. And it's funny. I think the previous year, or maybe it was the year before that, people weren't getting a game because we'd almost too many players, and we were probably being a little bit, J4, same old lads, show up 5 minutes before kickoff, the usual. And then a couple of people weren't playing, and then all of a sudden, players that probably came out were looking for a match, just to kind of go, no, I just haven't playing. So I think once the lads sorted it out, and again, we don't manager back then, the lads sorted it out. And we got a couple of the lads back, and we went on to win it again. It was a great old team. But again, it was the nucleus of bringing that team back together. Now, it wasn't as easy as that, the Invincibles year. In fact, it was a bit more of a struggle. In fact, but then Bars came on board and started cracking the whip. Then Bars and Mick Cleary. To be fair to Bars, he probably leaned on an awful lot more people as well. And Mick Cleary then did a super job of getting the admin together, which we never had before. But we didn't need it. But that's right. And that was the start of that. That was a great year, actually. To come back from that was unreal. Remember out in Stillorgan, oh God, I have to say it again, but McGannity, even though I took credit for the try, I didn't score it. McGannity scored a try in the last minute to beat Stillorgan. It was an unbelievable try, right? And then it was almost like you'd hear the Rocky bells going again if you play it back in your head. Then we went on a run and we started to realise ourselves, Adrian's in the corner shouting, you can do this. And we ended up, and that was a cracking win. And actually after that, I think most lads gave it up. I think that was the end of that team and that generation of players who probably an awful lot of them went firsts, really J2s down to J4s, and I'd say probably won 6 or 8 medals on the way, But that was the end of it. I think me and Lyle were the only 2 souls left at that stage then.
Yeah. That's right. It's funny you should say that actually, because after 2017, a lot of that kind of ilk had left. And then 2019, brand new team, under the guidance of Ian Gallagher, who is
that's right,
just superb.
That's right.
He is I can't say enough positive things about him.
Don't give him a big head now.
I have to pick him up because he started ahead of me.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I wasn't that good a player now, Jerry. I thought it was a rough call on you.
Yeah, tell me about that. I mean, you were kind of, you'd leaned up, you're a new player, you were probably early 40s at that stage, rejuvenated.
I was 41, yeah. Rejuvenated, I don't know. I'd say I still wanted to play, and I suppose, look, like Roche would know damn well, like Roche and Sully are super coaches, and Peter as well, and Bars, obviously. I had no interest in training fucking 2 nights a week, play the match, right? I trained on Thursday, I was just about able to go to bed for the Friday. But they did a super job, and I really just wanted to play, you know. So if you accept it, if you don't want to play, if you want to play, you got to, you know, do what they tell you.
Yeah.
So here I was, for probably the first time in my junior career, having to train 1 or 2 nights a week, do rucking drills, run around, you know, do my sprints. Probably lost about 10 kilos at the same time. Had to listen to Sully, you know. You've listened to Sully, I mean, God. And having played with Sully, and then I know, it's he's a GA coach trapped in a rugby brain, you know, and he's a great coach, but you know yourself, sunny side is never up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
something I wanted to talk
that was
about
a great
is,
win.
Yeah, it was. It was a great team, and there was a game, a semi-final of the cup. They actually got to the cup final as well that year. There was a match.
That's right.
That you played out. Wesley in the final,
Wesley,
lost Wesley in the final.
I was devastated to lose that. A double would have been an incredible achievement.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, we all kind of thought Maka was going as well. Maka will definitely be listening to this in Canada. There is absolutely no doubt. He'll probably be the first person to download.
But let's talk about him. What impact did he have? I mean, he was new to Greystones, but he was like that Reburn mold, that old school tough.
He was a blow-in. He never really got the game, Mac. He sort of all he could do was throw the ball into the line out. A bit slobby. He was rarely seen down the club, actually, and definitely couldn't hold his porter either. You know, that was the one biggest weakness he had. You know, 2 pints and had to go home usually. But we all know that's not true. Yeah, Maka was probably, you know, I really wish I had 10 years of him, actually, because I really enjoyed everything about playing with him. He was just a guy who came into the club, I think it was 1 or 2 years, kind of felt like 10. Definitely drove that team on. I'd say if he came 10 years earlier, he'd have been AIL first team player, no doubt about it. But he also one of those guys who raised the tone in the dressing room.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about Ian Gallagher, who definitely he brought a younger generation of players in, and like, you know, just super guy, super player. No, sorry, I don't think he is a super player, actually. I just think he was a super guy, brave as bejesus, you know, and gave it everything, and just a very likable guy then, and then players wanted to be with him.
Brought so many guys down with him
after a match. Yeah. And was so much great. But you had his generation, and then you had, like, if you think of that front row, like I was, you know, 26, 27 plus change, right? Maka would have been 36, 37 as well. Juan would have been around the same age. Yeah. So you had Tommy Parker in the back row then. He was probably, I mean, I'd be kind to him. He's about 86 kids, so he must be nearly 35 years of age. You know, and Boots. You know, so you had the 2 generations. Carlos was around yourself, so you had the remnants of the sort of the final hangers on of our generation are a little below, and then you had that new wave of guys coming in like Matt Dalton and obviously Ian and people like that, and then we got a bit of a run out of Seb as well, which is great. Scott.
Yeah. The best junior teams have that complement though, of like older guys and younger guys, and bringing.
I think that's right.
And attitudes down.
I think that's right. I think, but every great team I've played in has always had one player who seems to have had that year. Do you know what I mean? That it just clicked for them. You know, like if I think of, there was Barry O'Sullivan's year, there was probably Macca's year. You'd have to give it to him. There was that, I hate saying it, but bloody McGannity's year. You know, and there was other years as well where you had guys that just, you know, they were the down. Like there was one year Ben Finnegan scored something like 30 tries.
I remember.
Ben Finnegan. Yeah, if you told me Ben Finnegan,
season,
that's right. It was crazy. You know, he just had that year, and it was an incredible year. We won that year. Whereas if you told me Ben would have got 2 tries in a year, I'd have believed you. Very hard on him, but he did cost me a medal back in 2005 against College of Surgeons. So.
Ben, you're going to have to retort to all these.
Ben would be a good podcast, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, Ben has his own podcast, a rival one.
Yeah, but it's on esports or something, isn't it?
It is. Different market. One thing I wanted to quickly touch on, you're famous for creating a team culture, but you also create your own culture in your shoulder pads. What's going on there? Do you ever wash them? For people that aren't aware, the smell of these shoulder pads,
a potent weapon to the opposition.
It will curl your hairs.
Yeah, they don't often get washed, I think it's fair to say. I think what happened was, I remember having a game. So at one stage, at the start, you sort of, when you're playing 2 or 3 games a weekend, you know, subbing obviously with all the legals of the law and all that. We're just bringing your gear from game to game. In fact, you probably just stayed in the club, you know. And then kind of, I think, you know, if you didn't wash them, you kind of felt good. And I think I went on a run then, and then I said I wouldn't wash them until we lost. Then it just became a thing, you know, in the dressing room then. Like I started coming up from behind and sort of rubbing them on people's faces until, you know, I remember showing Carlos nearly vomiting as I did it to him. Then Rodolfo tried to burn them with a stick, you know. So it just, you know, like getting it gives the lads a bit of banter, and you know, so it kind of took on its own life then. And then I remember, yeah, literally. So that was definitely something that was great crack. But then obviously you go into the scrum and you get down the first scrum and you'd kind of see your opposite number go, Jesus, what is that? You
Well, that's the whole
to
idea,
yourself,
isn't it?
Absolutely.
Old school junior section regularly went on tours.
Yeah.
Did you go on any big overseas tours? It was a big part of life back then.
It was just I went to Valencia in 2005, right?
Oh, wow, yeah.
So didn't make 2003 or 2001. I mean, it's incredible to think that now. I mean, the guys went to Valencia, Santander. We had a couple of great ones down to Westport as well. Which, you know, when Brian O'Sullivan fell over and saved his burger but smashed his face, to get Sully back because he'll be coaching me next year. So it was a huge part. I mean, I will never forget 2005 in Valencia, and I mean, I can nearly name every single person that was on that tour and some of the nights. The president of the club, Joe Devine, came with us. You know, which, you know, if you think about that, he just loved the junior section. We had our own bags. You know, we felt that we were crap. Don't get me wrong, we were so. It wasn't really about the rugby, we'll leave it at that, right? And it was a fairly heavy old tour. Yeah, it was crazy stuff. Like, it was absolutely amazing, and the best fun you'll ever have. But like, we did 3 fundraisers to fund that tour. We did a table quiz, a race night. We had a program when we sold ads and all that. It was an incredible. And still, when you get a couple of the guys together, I mean, you know, like, you know, the stories just come out, and it's brilliant. You know, none of them to be told here, obviously, but like, and we've, for so many times we've tried to get, like, even the guys went on a sort of a combined tour to Poland, like, and you'll still hear the guys talking about the stories. I was down fishing with Carl Jordan, and like, he tells the greatest stories about it, and some of them he bears the brunt of it. And don't worry, Carl, I won't tell the one about the olive oil. But like, you badly need a tour. Like, it just brings people together. It's something to look forward to at the start of the year. So you have that tour you're aiming for, you kind of make you stick around. You'll definitely, if you take a drop, and like, you definitely want to go. It then gives everyone such a sort of combined shared experience afterwards. It's just magic. Like, it really is. I couldn't say it. It's incredible to think they did them, you know.
I know, and some of the places, I mean, like, there was like Cape Town, Las Vegas.
That was the first. I never got near them, you know.
But yeah, pretty amazing. Like, I think my dad's year went into New York and things like that. Like, so it's just,
that's incredible. Cincinnati in 72, and like all the stuff.
That's a big one. Yeah, absolutely. And there's still guys who talk about Cincinnati in 72. I don't think Wizard literally would tell you stories about that tour. Like, you know, it's mad. So I mean, they really do imprint on the legacy of the club in a really big way. And to be fair to Wizard,
he's a man of very few words as well, Wizard.
We have Wizard on here one day. You've one thing.
Jesus, you want that unlimited Zoom?
Yeah. You'll have to pay for the extra podcast for that. What do you think, just in general, from a general club perspective? Like, Greystones is a community club where you're representing a town. How does that tally with club's vision? Not necessarily the club's vision, but, like, you know, plans to climb higher into AIL. Like, if Greystones was a 1A club, relying on Leinster Academy players to come out, I mean, would we have sold part of who we are and the identity of the club? Can those two concepts I think merge? What do you think?
I don't think they marry. You know, you're talking about doing a Man City on it, right? And to get there, you know,
exactly.
People who could throw money at it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think you see this in the UK as well, are having their own challenge with the club game. And, you know, just from being involved and around clubs, and you talk to people, how's your club going? How's, you know, like, I think every single penny that we have in the club needs to be spent making sure that our youth section and our 20s and our 16s and 17s, we have thousands of players. Do you know what I mean? And that they want to play for the club, and that they're from the area, and that they filter up and they play adult rugby, boys, girls, you know, the Seagulls, the works. The more people playing rugby and being bridled, and I think then what will happen is the good guys will want to go off and play firsts, and girls, obviously, right? Because I think the girls' game is going to grow exponentially, right? And the better coaching you get, you know, the more members you have, the better coaches you'll have, the better you'll make your players. and I think that's the only way, you know, the club will do well. I wouldn't have a problem, you know, you bring in, and the club has just had some wonderful players come over for a season or two, you know, try and find a guy a bit of work, or, you know, our girl a bit of work, and obviously they make the club better. Like, you think about some of the great New Zealand guys and Aussies, and, you know, I remember Mike Lee. Do you remember him coming over? Like, he just, you know, met Blake at Moose's and Claire's wedding, another great player, you know. So like, yeah, those guys can come in, absolutely, and we'll always want them. But I really think the heart of the club needs to be at the community, and getting as many people to play rugby and spending as much money as we can, making sure they're getting the right levels of coaching, that they're really happy at the club, that they stay at the club, and that they filter through and play first team. You know, I just,
yeah. And if we go
a few divisions off the
back of that, great. But
I think you would.
Yeah.
I do. Like, we are the only club, Jeremy, sitting on Bray and Greystones, right? We've got the guys going in at the darts and the girls going in at the darts, right? We've got Jared's, we've got Prez is coming back a bit as well, right? You've got David's, you've got Temple Carrick now, which is now going to start coming through. Like 100,000 people, and we're the only real club, right? That's there. And an ethos of rugby there, fantastic facilities. I mean, the facilities we have at the club, you know,
next to none,
like fantastic. Like, it's a 1A club in terms of the grounds, the stadium.
Yeah.
We just got the 2 back pitches done. Like, it's brilliant, right? And the loyalty then of sort of the retired members and all. I mean, you should see the amount of work some of the guys in the exec do. Like, it's incredible. But so, like, I don't think you go out with a checkbook to start buying players, right? Not that I'm saying other clubs do, but they do. And we don't, right? And I don't think we need to. Do I think we have to do a lot to make sure we don't lose our players? I think we do, right? Like, I think, like, you know, it breaks your heart when you see Jack up at Belvedere, and you know, Dan lining out for Lansdowne, and you know, and a lot of a lot of other people who are out there playing for other clubs and going into UCG. Like, obviously, you want all our people, all our club players playing, and we just have to create the environment that they want to be there. And the guys are doing a great job. I mean, some of them, like, you look at Marmy and on at this, Marmo, Andrew Keeley, they could have left the club. They could play much higher. They don't. They love the club. They play for the club. But that's the model, you know.
Absolutely. From your perspective, you're consistently playing rugby every weekend. You're the club You're the club finance director. How do you find time for everything, balancing your career, your dad, your husband? You know, how do you do it? Do you sleep? Like, I've never met anybody that seems to just burn the candle on every single end. I mean, I'd even asked you to record this morning, and you said that, I go for hill walks on Sunday morning. It's like, how do you time to do that? What's the secret?
There's no secret. I don't sleep a lot. I suppose if a lot of it. First and foremost, like my wife is incredible, right? And I have to say that every single time. You know, the raising the kids, the hours I work, the travel I was doing pre-lockdown, and all that. Like, we're a great team, right? We actually genuinely like each other, which helps, right? We're great fun, and she comes down to the club. So that is probably the first thing. I've never really had someone ring me up saying, "Get your ass home," you know. So that helps, right? I would have an incredibly high level of energy too. Like, you know what I mean? I'm up and fucking annoying everyone. You know.
What time do you wake up at in the mornings?
What's your? You know, could be 5:30, could be 6. You know,
really,
even earlier some days. Yeah, even at lockdown. Yeah. But and then and it just keep going. Like, I was never into, you know, telling you all that. But like, there's loads of stuff, you know. Like, I always think, like, the rugby never really took a lot of time for me, Jeremy. Like I wasn't training 4 or 5 days a week. Any photo before 2017 will tell you I never trained, right? Barely, like, 3 pairs of shoulder pads on to hold my gut in. It was a glorified corset at that stage, you know. So like, it was all just about playing a match, making sure you had a bit of stretching done, that you weren't going to get injured. So like, the rugby never took a lot of time. The finance director or treasurer role, I suppose that was very time consuming at the time. But the longer you do something, the easier it gets. And we've good people working with you. Spicer's on board now. We've Murray D, loads of people doing the accounts. So, you know, it kind of looks after itself. You know, when there's a problem, you have to deal with it. But once you get comfortable with something, it's fine. You know, and to be honest with you, if I wasn't able to do treasury of the rugby club, I don't think I should really call myself, you know, an accountant or working in the job I work in. So I should be able to do it.
There's 2 names I've heard when you talk about rejuvenating the club. That's Niall Savage and Justin. What kind of, like, measures? You don't have to go into too much detail, but like, what have you done that's kind of like made the club a must-go place again? I mean, you look at the bar; it's thumping with people what pre-lockdown
brilliant.
it was.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
You know, do you take a measured approach towards
First off,
that?
no, geez, mate. Like you'd have to. I'd give 100% kudos there to Justin, Stephen Pearce, and Carl Jordan probably. Like they run that pub. I think getting Justin in, like, I don't know, for
Huge difference.
Huge difference, you know. And I think it just I think we all were ready. We really wanted to be part of the club again anyway, right? And I think when people see you're trying, like, remember, the club was absolutely on its uppers in 17, and I mean proper on its uppers. Like, I was working behind the bar, myself, Justin, Donald Gannon was doing classes, right? Great man for running the dishwasher, Donald. You know, Orla Keeley, you know, everyone was sort of mullicking in. I think then people kind of appreciated, actually, we were giving it a go. We were trying to do a bit of work, you know, but the likes, like, I compared to the likes of Stephen now, and those guys, they do unbelievable work around the place for free, you know. Willie, like, you know, Willie's on call 24/7 around the place.
Yeah.
But I think having a very friendly face who loved the club, Justin just did a great job. But I think he made everyone feel welcome. Families,
Yeah, totally.
you know, the girls' team with them, I mean, they got it going again. They had the sandwiches, the cakes, they had, you know, a bit of skit, and Kirsten and Macca came. Like, there's a lot of things that kind of helped it, but there's no doubt about it. Like, I'm just dying to get back to it, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Miss it so much, you know?
You're kind of transitioning now towards Alacadoo's. You're kind of standing in that spot at the senior games. How are you finding that transition? Are you going to keep playing? Are you going to be the next Joe Devine?
Next Joe Devine, next Mick Murray.
The next Mick Murray, yeah.
I play in the morning if you let me, Jeremy. Yeah, absolutely. No injuries, feel good. You know, still can hold up a scrum, still can do very little else. So I play in the morning, yeah, absolutely. I love watching the team. I love watching any Greystones game. Like, go down and watch the J1s. You know, it's just great to get down there. You know, my job is fairly high. You know, it's kind of
intense.
Can be quite stressful. So coming down to the club and watching a match is just, you know, getting out of the pitch. It's just fantastic. I'd play in the morning, but if not, I'd watch the under-14s play a match if you let me. You know?
Yeah, great stuff.
Take
great
it
stuff.
moment,
closing in on the last lap here.
No worries.
Tell me your favourite Greystones memory.
My favourite Greystones memory. It was my best and my worst in the club, I think. The night we won the league, the best was coming off the pitch, knowing that I'd been over in Istanbul, and I brought 2 bottles of Yeni Raki, right? And I said, we're going on now. We won the league. I got the T-shirts printed up. We were going to, I told all the lads, make sure that the wives are down and, you know, kid the work. We're going to have a great night, and we had a bit of food on and everything. And then, you know, so like that moment coming off the pitch, having sort of won the league, you know, being ready to, like, that was just, everyone was there. I think there was about 50 of us there. We were all ready to party. And then we did the worst kangaroo court in living history. I will never, ever, ever forget it. And I stitched everyone up completely. I got everyone, Wogie, poor Aaron Wogan, right? Yeah, sorry. Like, to be fair, beast of a man, super player. But like, everyone got done. People you wouldn't normally get. And then Niall Hoey got me back at the end, and that was it. What should have been the greatest celebration of my career was over at 7:30 after I fell asleep and had to be escorted back. I remember my wife tells, and I'll tell anyone this story, that she was sitting down. She had the takeaway order. She was ready to catch up on a few. I think we just number 1 was just sort of around at that stage, right? And next thing, I think it was Hero, Owen O'Brien, drove me home, poured me in the front door, and as I sort of tried to get in, hold my dignity up the stairs, she sort of said, "You ruined my night. I had the whole thing, then I had to listen to you." You know? So that was, and you know what? Because everyone was there, and so it was a great night because we had a couple of hours and we had a great kangaroo court and everything, but it all ended fairly early, and we won't go into those that didn't get home at 7:30, and we'll leave it at that. But that was definitely the best memory of Greystones, and I've no doubt in 50 years' time we'll definitely all be still talking about that one.
Very good, very good. I've been asking everybody who the best trainer that they trained with, but you're not allowed to nominate yourself, so maybe we'll skip that one.
I think we all know I'd never make that one.
Now, tell me, what's the toughest match you've ever played in for Greystones?
Yeah. The toughest because we lost and it was devastating. Do you remember that semi-final against Terranure? Went to extra time. Were you playing that time?
Mary's, and I do.
Mary's, sorry. Yeah,
it was,
and Laddie and all that team.
Gutted.
That that was the worst. That's my worst moment playing for Greystones. That team should have won a league. Like that was an incredible team. Remember, we Craig in the centre, Dave Taylor, myself, Cave. Who else is playing now? So one of the Caldwells definitely would have been around.
Scott Ansap. You had Laddie playing. Gooch.
Craig, Laddie and Gooch. Laddie and Gooch they were great players.
The team was so good that Boots didn't get on it. Like that's people might not even.
Well, I always said Boots should have been a back row. He just never listened to me. You know. That was the hardest, and that went to extra time. I had to play all the whole bloody match as well. I remember flagging my way through. I would have loved to win a medal with that team, because that team had to sort of fight for everything. Like we weren't, like that. Like obviously Danny came in towards the end and all, but there was we all worked our ass off together to get to there, right? We weren't sort of full of superstars, even though they were a great team, and it was a very high level, and we played a really, really good team that day. I remember now out in Mary's, and we got to extra time, and I remember poor Craig, like we were beaten badly in extra time, and we were dead. Like I was dead, and I wanted so much, and Craig Hazen kept going and going and going. I was looking up to his lives with my brother, and I just hadn't got anything in me. Like I had nothing left. It was extra time. There was nothing in the boots, and I remember walking off that pitch. I was just gutted, because that team deserved a medal. Like of all the teams I played with, definitely deserved a medal. Such a good group, such a good dressing room. That was such a great dressing room that day.
Yeah, it was a great team. That's my favourite Greystones memory is that team. Actually, one of the reasons that team didn't get a medal is because I dropped the ball over the line against Terranure in a league final.
I know that, and I was going to bring it up, mate, but I didn't. I was going to actually say, was it yourself or Linton, and say it was probably Linton. And
it was actually a different game. The game you're talking about is Mary's in the Cup.
No, I know. I remember the one up the back pitch.
Yeah, there's a back pitch. Yeah, that's right. It's funny, after that game, I dropped the ball over the line last minute. Ref blows full time. We lose by a point, whatever it was. And I remember kind of holding it together and being like, okay, look, I think I'm okay. Look, it just happened. We got back into the dressing room, and you put your arm over me and you said, just in front of everybody, you said, look, the important thing is you backed yourself to go for it.
Oh, that's right. Thank God.
And I just burst into tears in front of everybody.
Oh, sorry, mate. So sorry. I also remember, Jeremy, if we're coming to the end of this, I also remember playing up in the back pitch with you. And the next thing, you went down like a sack of spuds, and the ref goes, I think it's a tib and fib. Remember, they saying you're absolutely wrecked. You're lying there on the ground. I was kind of, I don't know how injured he is. Yeah.
Oh, God,
and the whole, it was probably -3 or something up on the back pitch. You know how cold it gets up there, right?
Yeah.
They had to move the game, and then you were still lying up the back there waiting to get the ambulance through. They couldn't get the ambulance through. You were still there. And then I said, give him a ring. You were very shaky on the phone about, it might be broken and all that. And then I rocked down the next morning, and I see you sitting in Costa, not even a crutch on you. There was nothing wrong.
Oh, I remember. It's so embarrassing. Oh, my God. I would like to consider myself a hard player, but in that moment, no, it was.
That wasn't your finest moment, mate. That wasn't your finest moment.
Very embarrassing. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. I thought I got away with it.
I had that one in the locker. I said, if you don't bring that one up, I'm bringing that one up. Yeah.
Actually, you know what? When I first met my now wife, Catherine, her brother Dara had played in the club going back years, and he knew Ricky Wogan. And his first time he met
Everyone
me,
knows Ricky.
he said, "I've heard about you. You're the guy that got an ambulance called in the rugby club for no injury at all."
Oh, it was a classic. I remember in the dressing room going, "Is Jeremy still up there?"
Oh, mortifying. We let it all this out.
Don't put that out now. I'll tweet or whatever it's right.
Yeah. Last question. Who is the best player you ever played with the Greystones?
Oh man, and I definitely, I was hoping you wouldn't go there on this. It depends on what you other than Jeremy Roberts, obviously. I haven't mentioned him yet, and sorry, like in terms of winning leagues and all, like I mean, when you played with McGann, you played with some of those guys. McGann was incredible. Like he was so good. He's just bloody most narky human being on the planet, but he was just a brilliant player. The most naturally talented player I ever played with, and I thought a lot about this, was Stephen Dempsey. Stephen was, I mean, he played for J2, for that great J2 team. He could just have this habit of attracting 5 or 6 players around him, and he'd always get the pass away at 10. I mean, he just, And there was 2 great stories about him, and then I'll leave you, right? Because I don't want to be hogging all your time, but I'll talk to you all night, right? Jesus. But the first one was we were playing out in Blackrock, And I had that habit, you'd know at 9, that I actually used to stand to try and take first receiver so I get a bit of ball, and I'd stand right in the split half channel, right, just to make sure I got the ball, to make, so I could do a bit of carries. And kind of once I'd done sort of a couple of carries at the start of the game and a couple of carries at the end of the game and did nothing in the middle, I kind of felt that people would kind of forget the 60 minutes in the middle of the game. They did nothing. Anyway, Dempsey, of course, was like a superstar, and I was pulling the usual there first couple of minutes of the game. And the next thing he took 2 balls off him. And then he took 2 steps back and he got the ball and he aimed the ball and rifled it at my posterior, right? And hit me bang on, and I creased over on the pitch. And he said, "Savage, for the last time, get out of my effing channel." And I swear to God, I never actually stood in his way again, right? And everyone, like even the Rock lads, Rock, and the Rock lads were all just breaking the whole laugh. And he shouted at me as well. And the guys on the sideline, on the ground, holding me ass. Anyway, that was one. So he's over in Japan now. He's supposed to be coming home, but he'll definitely hear this. The other one was I snuck him out to a J5 Cup game in Clondalkin, right? Yeah, and I thought I was safe as houses, because he was just coming up through the 20s at the time, so he could have played for us and all. But he was a friend of Connor's, my younger brother, right? The one who could play rugby well, and he was sort of around. I kind of, when your younger brother's friend, you kind of lean on them a little and say, "Come on out and play a match." Sure, those days everyone wanted to play matches anyway. So he came out. I think he got 5 tries or something absolutely ridiculous against Clondalkin on the back pitch, right? And I thought I was home and hosed, and I didn't realise Tony feckin' Tierney was on the sideline and saw him play, right? Trying to the Lord Alakadu himself. And I rang him the next week. So Stephen, listen, we're away. I think it was in Mary, so we really do it, And he's a Savo. He says, "I've been picked to play for the first South Water Park." he went from playing a J5 Cup match to playing for the first. And I said, "Jeez, if you had have only got 2 tries, I could have had him for the rest of the year." Anyway, but he was class. I don't think anyone would disagree with that either. He wasn't around for long, but Jesus, he was brilliant. There were so many other good players that it'd be so hard to name them all. But if you asked me to go for one, we always won when he played.
Yeah, absolutely. So silky. Well, look, that's the end of the road for us today, Savo. I don't think it's the end of the road of us going forward, though. It's been really good connecting with you and talking to you about your Greystones memories. You didn't disappoint. No, it's been brilliant having you on. Thanks so much.
No worries. Listen, Jeremy, well done for doing this, mate. And I can't wait to see you back at the club at some stage. Really, it's so important to keep connected, everyone,
Unreal. Thanks so much, Sav.
Cheers, mate. Bye.